Captain Ryan had never believed in aliens. Not really. He had read reports, heard stories, even seen strange things in the sky. But he always told himself it was just space junk or bad sensors. Until the day his ship was hit by an energy pulse near the planet Avora 9. It came out of nowhere. 1 second he was flying through calm space. The next, alarms were screaming. His controls stopped responding. The ship spun out of control, crashing through the thick clouds of Avora 9. He remembered fire, smoke, and the sound of metal screaming as the ship tore through the trees. Then nothing, darkness. Ryan woke up to a strange sky. 2 purple moons shone above him. His suit was torn, his arm was bleeding, and the jungle around him pulsed with glowing plants. It looked like a dream, but the pain told him it was real. "Ship AI, respond," he whispered. But there was only static. His emergency beacon was dead. He was alone, stranded, and without a way to call for help. He dragged himself toward the wreckage. Fire still burned around the ship, but there was no chance of repairs. He pulled out his survival pack and started walking, somewhere, anywhere, hoping to find water. Shelter, maybe help. That's when he saw her at first. He thought she was a bird, tall, with smooth golden feathers covering her body, and wings folded behind her back. She had large black eyes, glowing softly in the moonlight. Her hands were like his, but her legs bent backward like a bird's. She didn't speak, didn't make a sound, just stared at him from between the trees. Ryan raised his hands, showing he had no weapons. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said gently. She tilted her head, then disappeared into the forest. He thought it was over until she returned. This time, she held a glowing fruit in her hand. She placed it near him and backed away. Ryan was too weak to question it. He ate the fruit, and almost immediately, the pain in his arm lessened. His mind felt clearer. She watched from a distance as he finished. Over the next few days, she returned again and again, sometimes bringing food, other times guiding him away from dangerous animals. She never spoke, but she always watched. And slowly, Ryan began to understand her through signs, gestures, and her eyes. She was curious and kind and lonely, just like him. They spent a week like that. 2 strangers from different worlds, learning to trust each other. She showed him a waterfall, glowing fish in the river, and trees that sang when the wind passed. He told her about Earth, stars, ships, and music. She listened without speaking, but he could tell she understood. One night, they sat by a fire. The air was warm, the sky full of stars. Ryan looked at her and said, "You saved my life." She reached out, touched his hand gently, and for a moment, the air between them changed. Something passed between them that night. Something more than friendship, a connection silent and deep. Ryan had never felt anything like it, not even with humans. They fell asleep under the stars, side by side. When he woke up, she was gone. No sign, no sound, no tracks, just the jungle, quiet and still. He called out for her, but there was no answer. Ryan felt something strange in his chest, like a hole. He waited for hours, then days, but she never returned. Finally, a rescue ship from Earth found his signal. He was taken back to the station, debriefed, and checked by medics. They asked him what happened. He told them he had crashed and survived. He didn't speak about her. They wouldn't believe him anyway, but every night, when he closed his eyes, he saw her face. The way her feathers shimmered in the moonlight, the way she had touched his hand, and how, in the silence of an alien world, he had found something he never expected: connection. Then, a month later, the dreams began, and with them, a message, one word that echoed in his mind like a whisper from the stars: egg. Captain Ryan hadn't spoken about her, not to his crew, not to the doctors, not even in his logs. What happened on Avora 9 felt like a dream, too strange, too personal, too impossible to explain. But 1 month later, everything started to change. It began with a sound, not outside, but inside his head, a soft hum that came at night, like someone singing through water. He couldn't understand the words, but the melody felt familiar, like her. Then came the dreams. Every night, the same jungle, the same twin moons, the same glowing eyes watching him from behind the trees. Sometimes she reached out to him, sometimes she turned away, but always at the end of the dream he stood before a giant egg. And every time, it pulsed with light, alive. Ryan tried to ignore it. He told himself it was stress, crash trauma, space madness, but then his body started changing. It started with a strange ache in his chest, then a pattern of faint glowing. Lines appeared across his arm. They looked like feathers, golden and soft, but they disappeared within seconds. Medical scans showed nothing wrong. But Ryan knew, deep down, something was happening to him. One night he was sitting in his bunk, trying to sleep. The hum in his mind grew louder. Then, his tablet screen lit up by itself. No alerts. No messages, just a single set of alien coordinates blinking in red. Avora 9. Ryan stared at the screen, his heart pounding. "Is this real?" he whispered. He didn't remember entering those numbers. But somehow, he knew what they meant. The next morning, he requested a meeting with Commander Halle. "I need to go back to Avora 9, Ryan said. Halle frowned. "Why?" "That place almost killed you." "There's something I left behind," Ryan replied, carefully choosing his words. "Something important." The commander didn't like it, but after reviewing Ryan's scans and noticing unusual energy readings in his brain, she agreed on one condition: he'd go with a team, fully equipped, for research only. 2 days later, Ryan stood aboard the shuttle Orion's Edge, heading back to the place he swore he'd never see again. His heart was heavy, but his mind buzzed with something else: hope. When they landed, Avora 9 looked the same. The jungle was alive, glowing and humming with energy. But something was different. The air felt heavier, charged, as if the planet itself was awake. The team began scanning the area near the original crash site. Ryan didn't wait. He followed his instincts, letting his feet guide him through the thick vines and soft moss. Hours passed, then he saw it. In the center of a clearing, bathed in golden light, was a massive nest. It was built from shimmering leaves, twisted roots, and soft feathers. And inside it, pulsing slowly, was a giant egg taller than Ryan himself. It wasn't just an egg. It was glowing from within, warm, breathing, alive. Ryan stepped closer, drawn by a feeling he couldn't explain. As he touched the surface, a jolt of electricity ran through his fingers, and suddenly his mind filled with images. The feathered girl standing in the moonlight, her hand on her belly, a soft cry. Then her placing the egg gently in the nest. The vision faded. Ryan fell to his knees, shaking. The others arrived moments later, gasping at the sight. "What is this?" one whispered. "It's not just alien," said another, scanning the egg. "These energy readings, they're mixed." "Mixed?" Ryan asked, standing slowly. The scientist looked at him, confused. "There's human DNA inside this egg." Silence fell over the clearing. Even the jungle seemed to hold its breath. Ryan took a step back, trying to make sense of it all. Could this be his child, a part of him growing inside an alien shell? Before anyone could speak, a sharp noise echoed from the trees, a low musical trill. Then movement. Dozens of glowing eyes appeared in the shadows. Feathered figures stepped into the light, silent and tall. At the center of them stood her, the alien girl, alive, watching. Her eyes met Ryan's, and in that moment he understood. She hadn't abandoned him. She had returned to her people, to prepare for what came next. And now she had come back, not to say hello, but to protect the egg, and maybe to protect him too. Captain Ryan stood frozen. Around him, the jungle buzzed with sound, but all he could hear was the thumping of his own heart. There she was, the alien girl, glowing in the moonlight, tall and feathered, with her black eyes locked on his. Others whispered behind him, scared and confused, but Ryan stepped forward, slowly, hands open. "It's you," he said softly. She didn't move, but the other aliens around her parted, forming a silent path. She walked toward Ryan without fear as she reached him. She touched his chest right where the glowing marks had once appeared. A soft trill escaped her lips, and in that sound, Ryan heard something deeper. Not words, but meaning memory. She reached out. Placing his hand on the giant egg, it pulsed warmly beneath his fingers. Alive, connected. Suddenly, his vision blurred. A rush of images flooded his mind. The night under the stars, her breath warm on his skin, the moment they connected. The strange golden energy that passed between them. The formation of the egg. Her placing it in the nest, singing over it, crying, waiting. And then, isolation, fear, hope. When Ryan blinked, she was still in front of him. But now he knew the truth. The egg was theirs, a child born from two worlds. The others around them watched in silence. Then one of the elder aliens stepped forward. Taller than the rest, feathers silver and eyes glowing white. He raised his arms and spoke not with his mouth, but directly into Ryan's mind. "You are not ready." The voice echoed inside him. "This world is not ready," Ryan stumbled. "Back, what do you mean?" The elder gestured to the egg. "It must remain here until the time is right. Earth would fear it, use it, or destroy it. But it's mine," Ryan said, his voice trembling. "I felt it, I saw it, it's a part of me." The alien girl stepped forward again, placing a hand on his shoulder. She looked into his eyes with sadness and pride. "You gave life," the elder said. "Now you must protect it from a distance." Ryan shook his head. "I can't just leave." Before anyone could answer, a sharp beeping echoed from one of the human devices. A distress alert. The crew leader ran toward Ryan, holding a data pad. "Captain, we've got a situation," Ryan turned. "What kind of situation?" "Earth Command intercepted our last transmission," he said, his voice tight. "They picked up something about the egg genetic scans, DNA signatures. They're sending a ship." Ryan's eyes widened. "How long?" 3 days. The alien girl looked at him, as if she understood every word. She turned and began walking, motioning for them to follow. Ryan didn't hesitate. The others followed close behind, deeper into the glowing jungle. They passed through trees that bent toward the path, as if recognizing her. Strange creatures watched them from above, silent and still. Finally, they reached a wide, circular stone covered in symbols, a hidden temple. Carved into the roots of a mountain inside was something even stranger, a chamber filled with humming lights and spinning crystals. At its center, an ancient console made of gold and stone. The alien girl placed her hand on it, and the room came to life. A holographic map appeared, showing stars, galaxies, planets. One of the stars glowed red Earth. Another blue and far away flashed softly. "Safe," the elder's voice rang in Ryan's head. "Take the egg there." Ryan looked at the console, then at the alien girl. "You want me to steal it? Protect it." She corrected. "Before they come." Suddenly, the egg began to glow brighter back at the nest. The humans watching it called in. "It's changing," said the voice on the radio. "Heartbeat is increasing, movement inside." Ryan turned to the alien elder. "What happens if Earth gets here first?" The answer was simple. "War." Ryan looked at the egg, then at the woman who had once saved his life, then at the stars on the map. He had a choice to make. Walk away and let the child become a test subject, or run and protect a life no one was ready to understand. He turned to his crew. "Get the ship ready," he said. "We're not leaving empty-handed." As the temple lights dimmed behind them, Ryan knew one thing for sure. This was no longer just about survival. It was about something bigger. Life, a future, and a secret that could change everything humanity thought it knew. Asterisk. The jungle trembled, not from the wind, not from animals, but from something ancient awakening. The egg pulsed brighter now, each glow stronger than the last. Like a heartbeat, like it knew time was running out, Captain Ryan stood near the nest. Sweat rolled down his neck, but the air was cold. He wasn't afraid of the aliens anymore. He was afraid of what came next. The feathered girl stood close to him, her wing-like arms curled around her body. Her black eyes never left the egg, neither did his. "Is it hatching?" a human scientist asked. Voice shaking. "No," Ryan whispered, "it's choosing." Then silence, deep and complete. Even the jungle stopped moving. A crack appeared, thin and glowing. Then another. Then the surface of the egg split open with a hiss. Steam rose, feathers scattered, and light burst into the clearing. Inside, curled and still, was a creature small, delicate and golden. It looked almost human. But feathers shimmered across its back, and its fingers were long and soft like her mother's. It opened its eyes, one blue, one black, and the first thing it did was cry. But the sound wasn't just a cry, it was music, a soft, high-pitched hum that vibrated through the ground, through the trees, through the hearts of everyone standing there. Ryan couldn't breathe. He stepped forward, hands shaking. The creature stopped crying when it saw him, and then it reached out, not to the aliens, not to the other humans, but to him. He picked it up, heart pounding. It was warm, light, and glowing as he held it. The music in the air faded into silence. The feathered girl touched the child's head and gave a soft trill. The child responded, not with words, but by resting its tiny head on Ryan's chest. The elder alien stepped forward. His mind voice echoed again. "She accepts you." "She," Ryan repeated. "Yes," said the elder. "She is not just a child. She is a message. A bridge." Ryan looked down at the hybrid girl, half alien, half human, born from a single night, but destined for something far bigger. They named her Luma. The word meant first light in the alien tongue. Over the next day, something unbelievable happened. Luma began to grow fast. Within hours, she was crawling. By sunset, she could stand. By morning, she spoke her first word. "Da," she said, reaching for Ryan. It broke something open in him. Fear, wonder, love all tangled together. But Earth didn't wait. The warning came from the orbit team. Unidentified ship incoming. "They're not responding to hails." ET, 3 hours. Ryan knew what that meant. Earth had sent a retrieval ship, but they weren't coming to ask questions. They were coming to take. He gathered the team. "We can't let them take her," he said. "They won't understand what she is." The feathered girl nodded. She stepped forward, placing her hands on Luma's shoulders. "She must leave this world." The elder said again, "And so must you." Ryan didn't argue this time. He understood. The world wasn't ready for her, but maybe one day it would be. They prepared the ancient temple's portal. The coordinates were set for a hidden planet far beyond Earth's reach, a place the aliens called Alaris, a world of silence and light, untouched and safe. As the machines powered up, Luma looked at the feathered girl and said, "Mother." It was the first time she used the word. The alien girl's feathers shimmered, and a tear slid down her cheek. Then, Luma looked at Ryan. "Da," she said again. "Fly." Ryan took her hand. The portal opened like a doorway made of stars. They stepped through together, just as the human warship broke through the sky. Too late. Behind them, the temple collapsed, buried under fire, stone, and history. But in front of them, a new world waited. Bright skies, soft hills, alien sun. Ryan knelt beside Luma as they stared at the horizon. "You're safe now," he said softly. She didn't answer, she just smiled. And in her eyes, blue and black, shone the light of two worlds. "Would you like me to begin part 5? On the quiet planet of Alaris, days passed like dreams. Soft winds moved across fields of glowing grass, and twin suns floated in the sky like golden coins. Captain Ryan had never known peace like this, but it wasn't the planet that calmed him. It was her, Luma. She was only days old, but already walking, thinking, learning. By the end of the week, she could speak in 2 languages. She asked questions about stars, ships, animals, and music. But her favorite question was always the same. "Why am I both?" she asked one evening, sitting beside Ryan under the twin moons. "Half you, half her." Ryan looked at her small hands, one with soft skin like his, the other with delicate feathers. He smiled, but his heart was heavy. Because the universe needed someone like you, he whispered. Someone who could belong to both worlds and maybe save them. Luma didn't fully understand yet, but she nodded. She always nodded. She laughed like a child. But sometimes she stared at the stars for hours, like she remembered something from a life not yet lived. And when she touched the trees, they bloomed. When she sang, the birds followed. She was becoming more than just a hybrid. She was becoming a bridge, living proof that life could mix, change, and still be beautiful. Ryan built a home near the Crystal Lake, with help from the local creatures, gentle glowing beings who respected Luma as if they knew her purpose. Each night, she curled up beside him and whispered strange things. In her sleep, colors walking, egg dreaming, others coming. He thought they were dreams. Until the message came, the communicator crackled one morning. Buzzing with static, Ryan ran to it, thinking it was just system feedback. But then a voice broke through, cold and sharp. To Captain Ryan, this is Earth Command. We know what you took. We know what she is. Ryan froze. How had they found him? The voice continued. Another egg was discovered 2 days ago. Same DNA pattern. We will retrieve both. The message cut off. Rain's hands trembled. Another egg, another child. But where and how? He rushed outside, finding Luma near the lake, balancing on a log, arms out like wings. Luma, he called, trying to stay calm. She turned, her eyes serious before he even spoke. They found us, she said. Ryan swallowed hard. Yes. Luma looked up at the sky. They're scared, she said. Of me. Of what I might become. Ryan didn't answer because she was right. Earth didn't want peace. They wanted control. They didn't see Luma as a child. They saw her as a weapon, a threat, an unknown. That night as Luma slept, Ryan sat by the fire, staring at the stars. He thought about running again, going deeper into the galaxy, hiding forever, but hiding wouldn't protect her forever. She deserved more. A chance to choose her path, a chance to live without fear. In the early morning, he was woken by a soft hum. Luma stood in the doorway, her hair glowing slightly in the dark. I saw her, she whispered. Ryan sat up. Who? The other one, she said. She's not like me, she's angry. Ryan's heart dropped. If the other egg was real and the child inside felt abandoned, isolated, experimented on it, could be dangerous, very dangerous. He stood, grabbing his pack. We're going to find her, Luma smiled softly. You're not afraid. I am, Ryan admitted, but not of her. I'm afraid of the people who raised her. As they prepared to leave, the forest around them began to glow. The animals gathered silently, forming a path once again. It was as if the planet itself wanted Luma to go, not to leave but to lead. Ryan looked down at her. She was still so small, but already carried the weight of 2 species. He wasn't just her protector anymore. He was her student. As they stepped onto the ship, Luma turned back one last time. She placed her hand over her heart and whispered, Thank you, Ilaris. And the wind whispered back, asterisk. The stars outside the ship shimmered like silent watchers. Captain Ryan sat at the control panel, his hand steady, but his heart far from calm. Luma stood beside him, taller now, her feathers longer, her eyes more focused. She wasn't a child anymore. She was becoming something more. She placed her hand gently on his arm. You're thinking too loud, she said with a soft smile. Ryan laughed quietly. Sorry, just nervous. They were approaching an Earth-controlled space station, Orbit Base 19. According to intercepted signals, the second hybrid child was being kept there, not cared for, studied. The child's name was Kale. Luma had seen him in her dreams, connected by something deeper than science. Twins, not by birth, but by fate. He doesn't know love, she whispered. They only give him fear, Ryan nodded. That's why we're here, to bring him home. As they neared the station, Ryan activated the stealth protocols. The aliens had taught him no radar, no signal trail, no warning, just silence. But inside Orbit Base 19, There was anything but silence. Cale screamed. The sound wasn't loud, it was sharp, vibrating, almost painful to those nearby. The doctors monitoring him couldn't explain it. His body changed illy. Powers evolving faster than expected. Worse, he could hear thoughts, feel emotions, and lately, all he felt from humans was fear. Then one day his scream shut down the entire station for 7 seconds. Every screen went black, every light blinked out. When they came back on, Cale's eyes glowed red, and he whispered a single word. Her. Back on Ryan's ship. Alarms flared silently. They had been spotted. The stealth field cracked. An automated turret fired, missing by inches. Ryan cursed, pushing the engines. We've got to move. He shouted. Luma sat calmly, her eyes glowing. Let me try, she said. She pressed her fingers against the ship's control panel. A soft hum spread through the walls. Lights shifted blue. Systems smoothed out. The ship slipped past the final turret like mist through fingers. Inside the station, Cale suddenly looked up. His eyes softened. She's here, he whispered. And for the first time he smiled. Ryan and Luma landed in the underbay, where maintenance crews rarely visited. They had 15 minutes, maybe less, as they moved through the dark metal halls. The lights flickered. Luma touched the wall, and it responded, guiding them. She didn't walk like a child anymore. She moved like someone ancient. Like the jungle before a storm, they found Cale in a glass room. Thick walls, no door. He sat alone, staring at the floor. When he saw Luma, his eyes changed. He stood slowly, pressed his hand to the glass. She mirrored him, without a word. The glass cracked, then shattered. No alarms, no guards. As if the station itself had gone still. Cale stepped out, barefoot, trembling. He looked at Ryan, then at Luma. You came, he said. Voice raw. Luma nodded. You called. Suddenly sirens screamed. Soldiers stormed into the corridor. Rifles raised. Stand down, someone barked. Ryan stepped in front of the hybrids. Arms raised. You don't understand what they are, he said. They're not weapons. They're the future. But the guns didn't lower, not until Cale stepped forward. Eyes glowing gold and red. He didn't attack. He didn't run. He just said one word, stop, and everything did. The soldiers froze, not like statues. Not like puppets, but like men who suddenly felt shame. Ryan took the moment. Now, he said, and they ran. Through the halls, past control rooms, toward the escape dock, behind them. The station lights dimmed, Cale's influence spreading. At the exit, Luma turned to her brother. You're free now, she said. Cale looked at her. I don't know how to be. You will, she replied. I'll show you. They launched from the dock seconds before more ships arrived. But this time Ryan didn't run blindly. This time he had a destination, not Alaris, somewhere new, somewhere hidden. Somewhere the hybrids could be safe, and maybe learn who they truly were. As the stars blurred outside the ship, Ryan looked at Luma and Cale sitting side by side. For the first time, they looked like siblings. Different, but linked. He didn't know what came next. He only knew this. They weren't escaping anymore. They were choosing their future. The stars faded behind them, not because they vanished, but because the ship had crossed beyond the known galaxy, into a space where no human had ever flown. Captain Ryan sat in silence, his hands on the controls, but the ship moved on its own. Now, guided by Luma, she stood by the window, feathers catching the soft blue glow of the planet ahead. Beside her, Cale watched quietly. His face was calm, but his eyes were still full of questions. This is the place, Luma said. Ryan looked out. It wasn't like Alaris. This world had silver oceans, floating islands, and crystal towers growing from the ground like trees. It was beautiful, strange, but peaceful. What's it called? He asked. She turned, her voice soft. It doesn't have a name yet. We get to give it one, Ryan smiled. You choose. She paused, thinking, then said, Valaria. Where stars sleep. The ship landed gently near a waterfall that fell upward into the sky. No cities, no satellites, no weapons. just air that sang and land that welcomed. As the hatch opened, Cale hesitated. He looked at Ryan. Will they still come after us? Ryan looked up at the empty sky. Maybe one day, he said honestly. But not today. The three stepped onto the soft ground. And in that moment, something changed. The ground beneath Luma's feet lit up. So did the stones around Cale, symbols, glowing, ancient, rising into the air like soft embers. The planet was responding, recognizing them, welcoming them. Over the next few days, they built a shelter. But the forest around them did most of the work. Trees bent to form walls. Leaves hardened into glass. Animals approached without fear. Birds sang Luma's name at sunrise. Even the wind whispered Cale's thoughts before he spoke them. This place isn't just safe, Ryan said one evening. It's alive. Luma looked at the sky. This is how it was supposed to be. Cale sat nearby, carving a glowing rock with strange symbols. They still dream about us, he said suddenly. On Earth, in labs, in secret rooms. They think we'll destroy them. Ryan looked at him. But will you? Cale didn't answer right away. Then he said, no, but I will scare them. Ryan nodded slowly. That might be enough. The following morning, Luma stood at the edge of a cliff, wings grown now strong and golden. She spread them wide. I want to fly, she said. Not just here, everywhere. Ryan walked up beside her. Then fly, she turned to him. Will you be okay if I go? He hesitated, then knelt and kissed her forehead. You were never mine to keep, he whispered, just mine to protect, until you could choose your own sky. She smiled. Thank you. With one step, she leaped, wings catching the wind, body rising into the clouds, a golden streak against a silver sky. Cale joined him at the cliff, watching silently. She's going to find others, he said. Not like us, but close. Ryan looked at him. You saw that, Cale nodded. She's going to bring them here, Ryan exhaled slowly. And you, Cale shrugged. I'll wait, and build a place where they'll want to stay. Together, they walked back toward their shelter. The wind behind them carried Luma's song, not in words, but in light. Weeks passed, then months. The world shaped itself around them. One evening, Ryan sat alone by the lake, watching the sky, and then he saw her, a ship, golden and quiet. It landed like a whisper. The hatch opened, and a small alien girl stepped out, feathers soft, eyes wide, holding a strange egg in her arms. Behind her, more followed, different species, different faces, but all glowing. Luma stepped out last. Taller than before, her wings folded like a queen's robe. She smiled. We're home, she said. Ryan stood up, and for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel like a visitor in the universe. He felt like a part of it, and somewhere, far away, on Earth, a third egg pulsed quietly in a hidden lab, waiting, listening.